President Trump painted D.C. as a city of lawlessness, using that as a reason for declaring a public safety emergency today.
During his news conference, he compared the crime rate of the nation's capital to other cities around the world.
The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth. Much higher. This is much higher.
But experts told the News 4 I-Team's Ted Oberg that might not be a fair comparison.
Yeah, Ted is joining us now for more context on all this. Hey, Ted.
Yeah, look, Susan and Adam, President Trump's comparison of homicides around the world, it may be interesting, but not wholly accurate, according to researchers we talked to. They're concerned about the way data is kept in some of these countries and differences in both rights and freedoms and policing in various capitals around the world. There's the president in the briefing room holding that chart. Here's all those cities. One expert we spoke to described this chart as comparing apples to spaceships.
I mean, but homicides are down, shootings, robberies, carjackings are down in D.C. since 2023 and 2021. And that's mirroring what we're seeing in a lot of big cities. But, you know, D.C. still has higher than a large city average that we've seen in our sample cities, our 30 to 40 sample cities. And we're still above the pre-pandemic baseline.
Right. The point is, D.C. is not perfect. There are more than 1,500 victims of violent crime in our city this year. So D.C. still has a long way to go, despite the fact that violent crime is way down. Thaddeus Johnson, who you just heard from there, one of the consultants in on this report from the Council on Criminal Justice, looking at crime trends in U.S. cities. This report just came out a couple weeks ago, and it shows how cities across the country stack up halfway through the year against one another when it comes to crime. D.C. right in the middle of the pack. Look, we took a look at homicide and carjacking in this report. This orange line, that's the national average of the cities they looked at. And you can see when it comes to homicide and carjacking, D.C. is a little above the national average. But then take a look at this. When we look at gun assaults and aggravated assaults, those tend to be the more serious ones. D.C. below the national average. Point is, we're not perfect. D.C. knows it needs to do more work. In all of the categories that we looked at, D.C., by the way, is well below where it was in 2023 coming out of the pandemic. The drop in crime, Susan and Adam, has been significant since then. Look, there is one more question. We've heard a lot from some of you, especially on social media, about whether we can believe the crime stats that come from D.C. police, especially after the recent suspension of an MPD commander accused of allegedly changing crime statistics. Paul Wagner broke that story just a couple days ago. President Trump referenced this from the podium this morning. Currently, one person has been suspended in the district pending this investigation. Chief Smith would not comment on that today in the news conference, but there have been drops in crime across every district in the city. The commander who is suspended only worked in one of them. He's denied any wrongdoing.
So much information, Ted, and we really appreciate you unpacking all of that for us.
Yeah, breaking it down for us. I mean, it puts it in perspective. Thank you, Ted.
Yeah.